You're watching AdoramaTV.
Hi everybody, I'm Mark Wallace. Welcome to this week's episode of AdoramaTV. Well, this week we're looking at the Panasonic GF1 Lumix camera. It's a micro 4/3 camera, which means that it's got a really small form factor and it's a really nice camera to just take around with you. You can put it in your purse, put it in your bag, put it in your car. You can take it everywhere you go, which is really key to taking great shots. You can see it's about the size of my hand. I really like it. Now this camera has one feature that makes it stand out, which is it has interchangeable lenses. Now the Lumix is able to work with all of the micro 4/3 lenses that Panasonic has put together. That means that you can go all the way down to an 8mm fisheye lens, all the way up to a 300mm telephoto lens, which is great for shooting sports. It also has macro lenses that will work on this camera. You can even buy an adapter which will allow you to use Sigma micro 4/3 lenses and Olympus micro 4/3 lenses. So you have a lot of choices on which lenses to put on this camera, which is going to make this camera last you a lot longer than maybe a normal point and shoot camera, because you can customize the type of lenses you put on the camera, obviously. Okay, now let me talk about first of all the dial on the top of this camera. It really makes it easy to take photos. So it has a full auto mode, which means that if you really don't want to learn all about aperture values and shutter speeds and that kind of stuff, you can just put it on that and forget about it. Point this guy, shoot, and you're going to get terrific photos. And I've tried this out in auto mode and it really works well. But if you're more of a control freak like me and you want to control shutter speeds and things like that, you actually have your normal modes like program mode, aperture priority mode, shutter priority mode, and even full manual mode. And this is going to allow you to dial in your exact shutter speed and aperture value so that you can use an external meter if you want, or do some special effects, which is really terrific. This even has a movie mode, so you can shoot full HD on this Lumix, which is terrific. To do that, you either put it in movie mode and hit your shutter button, or in any of the other modes, there is a little movie button here, and you just push that, and it starts recording instantly, which is really terrific. Now this also has this thing C1 and C2. Now what that is, it's a custom button, so you can actually program those to be something specific for your type of shooting. So let me put this in real world terms. Let's say that you're a parent and you have a student that plays maybe volleyball on a high school volleyball team, and it's indoors in a gymnasium in low light and everything turns out yellow. Well, you could put this custom setting, you could program it to make sure your white balance is set correctly and your shutter speeds and your all your focus modes. And then once it's set, anytime you're shooting that child, you can just put it on C1 and everything's ready to go. Maybe you have a second child that plays soccer outside. Well, what you could do is you could program the other one for outside shooting and a lot of light and a lot of action. And so when you go to shoot your volleyball game, put it on C1, and when you go to shoot your soccer game, put it on C2. And once you have it all dialed in, you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's really, really terrific. Now there's another setting here that I really like. It's called the scene mode. Now scene mode, I'll show you on the back here. What this allows you to do is there are all these built-in scenes. Scene meaning a type of photography that you want to shoot. So for example, we have up here, we have portrait mode. So if you're shooting obviously portraits, you can put it on that. We have soft skin mode, and there's scenery mode, there's architecture mode, and sports and peripheral defocus, which really makes the background out of focus and your subject really, really sharp. There are flower mode. There's a bunch of pages. Actually, there's 2 pages of this. In fact, one of the modes that I like most, party mode. I like that. And then there's also pet mode and baby 1 and baby 2 modes. There's all kinds of modes that will help you get shots if you're not technically wanting to learn all the kinds of things that this camera will do. You just put it on that, dial in the mode, or dial in the scene, and you're off and ready to go. This also has this little paint palette dial here, and what that allows you to do is to choose different color schemes. And so you can do monochrome if you want to shoot black and white images. You can do dynamic art, so that's really saturated colors, and there's a silhouette to have more a high contrast look. So there's all kinds of different things. You can even put in some custom color settings and dial in how that this camera looks. So this is a really, really nice camera if you're looking for something that you can program and dial into the way that you want to shoot. And it's also terrific if you don't want to do that, because again, you have this auto mode that you can just put it on and start taking some shots. Well, this also has some things that I really like. On the top here, there's this little dial that allows you to choose how the shutter works. So you have one shot, so when you take a picture, it just shoots once. You have another shot here that if you take a picture, it shoots multiple times, which is really cool. You have bracketing, so if you're trying to take a picture of something that has really high dynamic range, like friends on the beach or something, or some scenic photography, where you have really bright sun and really dark scenic, well, this will take 3 shots in a row, just like that. One will be overexposed, one will be underexposed, and one will be exposed correctly. And then you can merge those as a high dynamic range image using software like Photoshop or Photoshop Elements. It's really terrific. And then, of course, you have the 5-second delay or 10-second delay mode so that you can shoot your family and run around and be in the picture. So not only can you control how the drive mode works, you also have an autofocus mode, so you can change how the autofocus works. You have single autofocus, so it just focuses and locks, continuous autofocus for sports. You have manual focus. You also have on the back here these 5 buttons, and these are used a lot, and I really like the ergonomic design here. So if, let's say, for example, you want to change the autofocus area to say, I want to focus on this specifically, well, you just hit this button and it says, where do you want to focus, and you can choose that. So if I hit ISO, for example, and I'm going to go, I have to put this in program mode. There we go. I can say, I want to shoot this. This looks like a little icon of a face. What that does, it allows the autofocus to do face detection, and it really works well. So if you have shooting a lot of people, this will automatically lock on their faces and dial that in. You have this little guy here, and what this does, it allows you to focus on something that might be moving in the scene, like your cat or dog, and it'll track that moving thing. Even, you know, kids move a lot, and this works great for that. And then normal autofocus modes that say just focus on what you think is the most appropriate thing, or you can even choose an autofocus area. You can go in here, you can choose the ISO to change how sensitive your camera is. It's got a full auto mode if you don't want to worry about it. You can set the white balance depending on the kind of light that you're shooting in. And then there's some custom functions in here as well. And then if you really want to get into this camera, there's also a menu mode here, and you can change all types of things, including the film mode, what the colors look like, the aspect ratio, all types of things in here. We don't have time to go into this menu, but the nice thing about this camera is it's perfect for beginning photographers who don't know much about photography. But as you grow and your skills grow and your knowledge grows, this camera is going to keep up with you because there's so much customization that you can do with this little guy. And one thing that I forgot, it even has a pop-up flash. So if you need to add some flash to your images, it's right there. And then if you want a little bit more powerful flash, there's actually a hot shoe on the top of the flash that allows you to put on an external flash. So you even have those options as well. So this is a really, really nice camera that's going to grow with you over the years because it allows you to change lenses. You'll be able to use it for all different types of photography. Again, it's the Panasonic Lumix GF1. It's around $800. I've been shooting with it for a while, and I really, really love it, and I really highly recommend this camera. Well, that's all we have time for today. Remember, if you have a question about photography gear, you can always send those questions to me at AskMark@Adorama.com. And please check out the Adorama Learning Center so you can see all of our past episodes and get tips for taking better photos. Well, thanks for joining me. I'll see you again next week.
This episode is brought to you by AdoramaTV. Visit the Adorama Learning Center where you'll find photography tips and techniques, links to the gear used in this episode, and related videos. For all the latest photography, video, and computer gear, visit Adorama.com. And the next time you're in New York City, visit our store located on 18th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue.